Hello guys, welcome back to the Beastie Room. Now, we were fortunate the other evening to come into our spider room, and we saw our giant whitey preparing to molt, and we managed to get most of this on video. Unfortunately, we missed the very last bit where she actually flipped back over right, because the memory card on the camera was full. So a little bit of a mishap there, my fault. Now it actually took her somewhere in the region of about 8 hours to actually finish this complete molt, which is really rather a long time, but it is a big spider. She is now touching she's got to be touching around about 8 inches or so, so she's huge. We have actually dried her skin out, so we can have a look at that shortly, but we'll have a little look at that in a minute. Now we thought we'd do this quick video, and it's only going to be a short video, to try and run through some of the things that go on when a spider molts, and some of the things that we should and shouldn't be doing. So we need to be aware of some of the stuff that goes on when they're actually doing this. So without further ado, let's skip over and just have a quick look at her changing her new set of clothes, having a molt, and we will see you very shortly. Well, here we are, and our geniculata, the giant Brazilian giant whitey, is already flipped over. Now, as you can see, she has made a fine web carpet on top of that moss, and a little bit up the side of the bark there as well. She's webbed herself a little arena where she is preparing now to molt. Now, one of the things that we see many times is the different types of webbing that these guys produce, depending on the kind of circumstances or the job in hand. And you can see there that the webbing that she's laid down on the floor is very different to any other type of webbing that they would normally do. And what she's doing now, she is just pulsing, literally pulsing. Now, you'd have remembered in our last molting videos that we mentioned about the way a spider moves. The spider moves on almost like hydraulics. And you can see the two front legs that are literally stuck to the moss there now. They're right in front of us on the screen. You can see how they got no white colouring on them joints. Normally that would be white. And that is because the exoskeleton, the new skeleton, is already diffused from the old skeleton. So it's already come apart. Now, she would have spent, well, she was done around about 6 hours before she got to this point. And you can see now her new legs are in full view there. And you can see how she's pushing that old skin off. You see the difference in the colour? The old skin is very brown, whereas she is now really quite black. You can also see the fangs there on the left hand side. Huge great things on these guys, really big fangs. And you can see the carapace there as well. She's laying on the carapace. And this is quite often why you see when you pick up your molted skins, the carapace is often separate to the rest of the skin. And that is because it comes away from the front. So it comes off of her back, as it were, and then it's joined to the abdomen. And the abdomen splits along the bottom, and it actually opens up. And then she will actually crawl out of it. And quite often that carapace is only attached just by a tiny piece of skin. You can see the fangs there clearly. You see how she's slowed down a little bit? This is really hard work. Now, with a spider, every time she pushes, she's filling those legs with fluid. And every time she relaxes, as soon as she relaxes, the legs withdraw and sort of tighten into the body again. And then she has to flex them out again. And this is how a spider propels itself. It has to flex to move a leg forward, and then relax, and the leg will automatically retract. And this is why when you see a spider in a death curl, they are all curled up, and it's because the spider cannot force the fluid through the legs to propel itself forward. So it literally, as the body shuts down and the spider dies, everything just goes tighter and tighter and tighter, and it just retracts. And that is why we get what we call the death curl. And you can see there now, she's flurrying her legs, and she's literally just filling them up. The skin is now completely off. You can see it there in the background. Now she will literally sit like this for some time, just pumping fluid, and then when she's got enough fluid, she will right herself, and then it will take some time. This girl takes around about 3 to 4 weeks to fully harden up. Unfortunately, we didn't catch her flipping. Right, well, that was pretty cool, weren't it? Now what we saw there was literally around about an hour's worth of video, and then we fast forward it 20 times, so it gives it a little bit of a speed up, which brings it down to about 4 minutes or so. So it's a pretty quick process, really, like that. But the actual process in all took around about 8 hours. It took an awful long time. Now you would have seen in the video the difference in the webbing on the floor to the different webbing that they lay at other times, and you would have heard me mention this many times in the videos that we've done, that there is all different types of webbing designed to do different things. And this is where we as spider keepers need to sort of learn, and we can look into our enclosures and see this different webbing, and it will give us an idea of what's to come. With that one, we looked at the webbing, we saw it there, and we thought, yeah, I reckon she's getting ready to molt. And then sure enough, we came back a couple of hours later, and she'd actually flipped over already. She'd already on her back, and she was started. So that's when we started the filming. So it's good to keep an eye out and learn these different ones. Now this is her skin. This is it here. And what we done was we took it away. As soon as we had the opportunity, we pulled it out, and then we just set it up like this, and we just sorry? Turn it to us. And we just let it dry naturally. It took a few days, probably 3 or 4 days, and then it dried out. And as you can see there, it's very delicate. This is literally just a skin. You can see the fangs there. If we turn it over, just look at those fangs. Aren't they huge? Look at that. Massive fangs. Now you imagine these in your finger or in your hand. That fang there is quite capable of going right the way through my finger. Very long. So this is another good reason why we don't advocate handling your spiders, playing around with them. It's not necessary. And you know, a spider this size, if it was to bite you, is going to cause some serious pain, and you are going to in turn flick it on the floor, and a big spider like this is likely to burst when it hits the floor. So please, you know, don't handle your spiders. It's not necessary. It really isn't. Even the friendly ones. Now what we'll do is we're going to pop over now, and we'll have a little look down into her enclosure. Now you can see there, she is still hardening up. Now you can see by the way that her legs are outstretched, she's in a very funny sort of position, and this is where she's flexing. Now this is a week after she actually molted, so it's still taking its time. You can see that she's got some beautiful colours, absolutely stunning looking spider. Now this girl is around about 5 years old or so, maybe a little bit older. So she's coming on really well. We have bred her in the past, and you can see there to her left, you know, to your left on the camera, we can see that webbing, and that you see that webbing mat that's been laid down. You see how it's quite fine on the floor, but it's very, although it's fine, it's very it's complete. It's literally covered up absolutely everything, and you'll see in that webbing as well that there is hairs and what have you in it as well. So they do actually lay hairs down into it. This acts as a little bit of protection while they're molting. Should anything come along and try and disturb them. You see the discoloration there, the brown in that? Most of that brown colouring is hairs that have come out of her that she's laid down as she made that web. Now you can see there that the legs, they look quite flopsy, especially on the left hand side. You can see they're literally just hanging out. Now, I don't know if we can take this out, so we might be able to get a better view. And you can see she's quite steady. We're just going to pop the glass out. We get a much nicer view of her now. There we go. There you go. Now you can get a good all-round view of her now. And you can see those legs that we're looking at now on this side. You see how they're sort of bent in an unnatural position? This is literally what happens now. This is a big spider. And when she molts, it will take anywhere to 3 to 4 weeks for her to fully harden up. Now, we often get asked questions about, you know, how long does it take before we can feed our spider after molting, things like that. This girl won't get fed from anywhere between 4 and 6 weeks after she's molted, because she is still very soft. This is a week on, this is a week after she's molted, and as you can see by her positioning, she is still hardening up. Takes a good long time for a big spider to sort itself out. Now with slings, they are literally hard and ready to go within, you know, 30 minutes for an absolute small sling, a tiny sling that's doing its first molt, and then it gradually gets longer and longer and longer. And the larger the spider, the longer it takes. Things like our sturmies will take anything. In fact, when they've molted out, they molt out in their burrows, and quite often they won't leave that burrow for 2.5, maybe 3 months before they'll come out and start hunting for food. So don't be in any major rush to be feeding your spider. Now, another thing that we want to be looking for now is we're looking for minimum disturbance. So although, as you've seen there, we've taken the glass out, and you'll see that she didn't move at all. And this is because she is a very calm spider. She is nice and steady. She knows the routine of this room, and she knows there's nothing to fear. And we're leaving it open there now. She won't move. She will still be sat there like that in an hour's time. She won't be going anywhere. So with your spiders, when they've molted, just leave them be. Don't be in any rush to feed them, give them water, do anything, because they must harden up before they actually do any of them things themselves. So it's very important that we leave them alone. Now, as we were saying, the larger they are, the longer it takes before they can do that. Now, when it comes to feeding, 4 to 6 weeks without food after a molt is no problem to one of these big spiders. You've seen there with her, she's got a lovely big abdomen on her. She can go months without food. So this is something that we've been getting asked an awful lot of lately, is, you know, how much and when should we be feeding? These guys, they're not like cats and dogs. They don't need feeding every day, and they can go an awful long time without food. So there's nothing to stress about, you know. These things are designed to go long periods of time with nothing at all. So try not to stress about it. Try and just relax and be good. Now, as we said, we've got another probably 3 weeks in front of us yet before she will even think about doing anything. And then she'll start getting back to normal behaviour. And then we can start conditioning her again, ready, looking to be able to breed her within probably 4 months from now. So again, it's that long process. We quite often get asked about the conditioning of our females. We are constantly conditioning our females. It's not something you switch on and switch off. We are constantly doing it throughout the whole of their lives. So it's always something that's going on. Right. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. It's a fascinating thing to do and to see. And if you get the opportunity with your own spiders, it's well worth just sitting there, set up your phone or something and catch that footage, because it is absolutely fabulous thing to witness. Absolutely amazing. We have seen hundreds and hundreds of molts now, and you know what? Every time we see it, we just got to stop and look. It gets us every time. So it's not something that you get bored with. It's something that just amazes me every time I see it. So it's really, really cool. And don't forget, you can dry your skins out just like this and keep them. You know, we've got pots and pots and pots of these things. They're everywhere, absolutely everywhere. So if you get a chance and you can pull them out, you literally just set them out, let them dry naturally. Don't do anything with them, just let them dry naturally, and you've got a memento there that you can keep forevermore. And an interesting thing as well, if you do that with your young slings and do them as they progress through up until adulthood, you can have all of the skins all the way through, right the way to when they're fully grown. And it's a real nice keepsake. It's something well worth keeping. Kids find them fascinating as well. Really, really cool. Right then, I hope you enjoyed that. And don't forget, be calm, be gentle, and love your spider. And I will see you soon, guys.